start the recording. We are going to record this, so don't worry about having to take too many notes. Thank you again for trusting the Nellis Group. You're on this call because you either have your home on the market, or you're about to put it on the market, or you're really not sure which way you want to go with it and the timing. And so
Okay, I got in.
thank you. Yes, if you could please mute yourself. And so we reached out to everyone and said, you know what, we want to get ahead of this coronavirus and everything that's happening. We want to be able to show people
That's him there.
what we see is happening and what's out there. Let me see if I can mute all. Okay. Hopefully everyone's muted. I've muted all. So let's get started. For those that have probably never met our full team, you'll see a lot of our team right there on the screen as part of the Nellis Group. I really loved this quote when I first saw it. And I want you to know that it's all hands on deck as far as the Nellis Group goes. Take up one idea, make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. That is the way to success. So what's exciting about that for us is, if you know this, we grew up in a family business. Like, we live, eat, and breathe real estate. We love it. We've been doing it forever, and we've been had a singular focus since this all happened. Of, okay, how do we take care of our sellers and our buyers? What does this look like for showing virtually? What are all these things that should be considered? So I'm going to walk you through that concepts and conversations we've had definitely over the last month, and even beyond that, what that looks like. I want to show you kind of the national scale and then bring it down to the hyper local. I think this is very important for everyone to see, because a lot of questions we're getting from sellers is, oh my gosh, is this going to create a recession? Is this going to create a bubble? Like, what's going to happen? Where are we at? What's going on? Here's some good things, and you'll see a couple things highlighted that I grafted, or I guess we could say stole from from National Association of Realtors. I think it's important for all of our local sellers to see it. So mortgage standards are where they need to be. They're nothing like when somebody could go out and just basically their cat could get a loan, right? It was the no income, no job, everybody could get one. Uh, where do we think it's going to impact us locally on the mortgages? You probably saw, did you see the announcement that it's going down to zero, quote unquote? Well, it's true, but not true. And I'm going to handle that in a little bit as far as what the rates mean. Short answer is this: any rate decrease helps you as the seller. It helps because it helps that buyer to afford more. So the fun thing for our buyers is, a buyer that's been sitting on the sideline, that's been locked out of a neighborhood that they want to go into, as a result of that 1% down, or whatever it is, they can get an extra 10% in buying power. So from mortgages, you're definitely in a good position as a seller. Here's what's also interesting: the annual home price appreciation. You know, this was 12.5 and 11.4 nationwide. By the way, in DC, in our metro market, in '04, we were at 19% and 21% in '05. I mean, it's crazy what we saw, which is also why August of '05, '06, we started to see that correction. So I show this slide to say, yes, we've seen steady appreciation nationwide, but we haven't seen crazy appreciation that forces us into a recession. Months of inventory. Now, this is kind of funny. If you're local to our market, you realize that 3 months of inventory in DC means something's wrong with your house, right? If you've been watching the trend of what's happening, most homes that go on the market sell within the first 14 days. Definitely within the first 21. Some of our luxury end, it could take 45 days. But once we're past that, there's two questions every buyer asks. How much is it? Because they've seen enough other inventory to figure out if this is it or not. And how many days has it been on the market? So we're going to talk about testing the cycle of the market as well as we get into this. But I want you to know that there's still very much a shortage in all of our metro market. Homes became too expensive to buy. As far as median income, again, this is where interest rates really help us. I had two clients, one refinance at 2.875, and I had a buyer get a rate that she settles later this month for 2.875. I mean, this is crazy. We thought we were living large when we were at 3.5. I mean, it's amazing to see what's happening with interest rates. Again, we've seen where people are pulling equity out to buy other properties. A good friend of mine who runs a real estate brokerage, he just bought an investment property last week. So we're seeing the stock market concern, but we're seeing people, rather than dump money in the stock market, bring it back into the housing industry because it's a tangible asset that you can control at a higher level. Uh, we'll get into that in a second as well. I want to focus you on these four metrics. This is why I made the call. This is why I wanted you here. Supply and demand. We're going to cover that a little bit deeper. But the good news is there's limited inventory right now. Number two, interest rates, right? Interest rates have gone down. There's a possibility they go down even more. And seasonality, you're in the perfect time. Some of you are probably thinking, well, James, why am I even on this call? Because you told me I'd be fine in May. Yes. If we had talked a year ago or 2 months ago, would I say you'd be fine in May? Absolutely. If we talk today, it's not the same conversation, which is why we're having this conversation. And then number four is consumer confidence, which is really what's putting pressure against that seasonality. Because if you've lived here in the metro market, you realize that, you know what, spring market's great, and it started in January the last 6 years, and summer market's good. So why are we having this conversation? We'll go a little bit deeper on that. The hyper local real estate. Where are we right now? I already mentioned it. Inventory remains low. Here's the challenge. If you're thinking about selling your home within the next 90 to 120 days, without a doubt, I'm telling you to put your home on the market today, as soon as we can get it ready. Now, we're never going to go to market without it looking good, but as soon as we can get it ready. Now, you know me, our whole thing, we've been here for 30 years. I'm happy to sell it today. I'm happy to sell it next year. But if you know that you have a timeline in mind where, James, I need to be out of here by X, we want you to put real focus on, should I get it listed right away or not? Here's our other challenge. If you've been following the news, bars, restaurants, all these things are closing and happening. It may not impact the specific buyer for your home, but it will impact consumer confidence. I don't think the real estate market locally here in DC metro market, if I had to pinpoint it, I'm thinking if things continue to go downhill by May/June, we're going to see an impact in our market. Now, it's first going to hit the people, unfortunately, the waiters or the people working hourly. It's going to hit them first. We've already seen, by the way, DOD, we have a lot of buyers that come in from out of state. It's part of why sellers come to us because of our relocation network and the buyers we can find. There's a lot of buyers that have been suspended travel for the next 30 to 60 days. And who knows if that'll end or if that'll further extend. Take a look on the screen. You'll see here the sweeping measures that they're taking. The Maryland governor shutting things down. Who knows? They could enforce a curfew in the coming months. Even, when it affects Chick-fil-A, that's when I pay attention. So even Chick-fil-A has said only drive-through. Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A came out this morning saying, hey, only drive-through. It's a reality that right now it is impacting. Now, the good news is it truly hasn't had a negative impact on real estate locally. I say that because over the weekend, not only did we have multiple buyers write on houses, we received 2 offers on one of our other listings. So buyers are active right now. We want to take advantage of the fact that the buyers are active and the consumer confidence is still high. We want to kind of rewrap. It might have been a long time since perhaps the last time we sat with you, because some of you might have had what we call an archived listing, and maybe we haven't had our conversation of as far as what the Nellis Group's going to do for you and what that looks like. But I've had some of you already reach out and say, James, with coronavirus and people coming through my home, what's your approach? What's your solution? So I want to walk you through that. This, again, you probably have already had our designer out. These are all the additions that we have. We just saved one of our clients, oh gosh, over $11,000 with our Lender Advantage program, which is alive and well when buyers come in looking for closing costs. The virtual solution, here's what's fun. We have the NG 3D tour. We do a floor plan for your home. And if you look in the bottom screen, they can click through and search through everything inside the house. We have had, even before this happened, we've had buyers from out of state, out of country, buy property with us, buy one of our listings because they could virtually see it and stage it the way they want because of the floor plan. So we're pushing everybody to this virtual option. The other thing that we're doing to help our buyers and our sellers is we're doing FaceTime tours rather than meeting with people. You've heard the social distancing and everything else. We have some sellers that say, you know what, James, I'm okay if you or one of your agents comes through, but I don't want 30 people coming through my home. We offer FaceTime tours and the ability to go virtual. You'll see that on the screen where we have actually, it was interesting. We had one of my agents call me today because her buyer who wanted to go out and see properties came home from work because she had coughs. She was coughing. And I told my agent, I was like, absolutely do not meet with them, but offer them the FaceTime tour. So we're being very strategic about it and at the same time still selling your home. The home sewing solutions, this is imperative right now. Buyers are shopping. Now, when the NBA and MLB and everything else went offline, guess what? People are now reading, they're watching the news, and they're shopping for homes. So it is a perfect time to be on the market because, frankly, people don't have anything to do. The open houses are still jam packed locally. People are coming through the open houses. Buyers are looking. I had a client of mine who reached out to me yesterday. I didn't even know she'd been looking, and she hadn't. And she's like, "Well, James, I had time on my hands this week, so I want to go see this home in McLean." It was very interesting. We're going to continue to see that until consumer confidence erodes. Okay, one of the questions we got from our clients is, how are you approaching open houses? Should you still do them? Should you not? We, as you know, we always do the 1 hour open house because we wanted people there at the same time to see each other. Well, with social distancing, we may not want that. We will be leveraging social media and online to where if you have an open house coming up, we're going to do a Facebook Live. We're going to make it an event so everybody can virtually see it. We will also be there to do the open house. However, we're going to limit how many people can come through the home at one time. And we're also going to be giving out hand sanitizers and all of that, taking what to at this point, not being a doctor, what are the precautions that we've seen by the news reporters and everything else? So the question I normally get is, James, if it was your house, would you do an open house? As of right now, what I know right now, yes, I would, based on the virtual open house and based on a limited how many people can come through at one time. Okay. The other challenge is, well, what happens if you're living in it versus it being a vacant home, right? Some of these solutions you're going to have to decide. As you know, we offer you everything with the Nellis Group, and you as the seller decide what you're comfortable with. Um, we've taken extra precautions with all of our agents because we know that they're staying safe. But what about all the other people touching the lockbox or touching the keys and everything else, right? We can't control all of that. Home sale metrics. I want to bring you back to this. This is super important. Let's say after this webinar, everybody raises their hand and says, James, I'm ready. We're going on the market next week, the week after, whatever it is. We want to look at these 6 metrics and stay ahead of them. How many showings are you getting? What's the feedback? How many days on market has it been? What's our competition? Is anybody else jumping to get ahead of perhaps this wave of slowdown? And then ultimately, do we have the offers or not? Here's what I can tell you. If we've had 10 showings on your property and no offers, it's either price or condition. Okay. If we're not getting the showings, let's say we go on the market this next week, because of how rapid the DC market is, we will know within 10 to 14 days if your home's going to sell or not. And then we're going to reevaluate and we're going to look back and say, was it not selling because the consumer confidence is way down? Or what's forcing it? And we're going to go back to the showings in our concierge suite to see, okay, how many people actually came through the home and what does that look like? I want to show you this. I reached out to 4 different lenders and I put the full thing on the screen. And yes, I'm going to take the time to actually read it here. I think it's important because so many people were saying, I've gotten text calls. Hey, should I refinance? Hey, can I borrow more? What does this look like? And let me just read what I got from one of the lenders. Remember that the Fed controls the overnight interest rates at which banks can borrow money. They do not control mortgage interest rates. Although there can be a small trickle down effect, it is more impactful for loans like car loans, home equity lines, and credit cards, short term loans. But even so, I really do not expect a trickle down in this situation. Right now, every bank and lender in the country is flooded with more loan applications than they can handle. This is from all the interest rates. Remember when I said a couple of people locked in 2.875? They are keeping interest rates a little higher to control volume to maintain turn times and compliance requirements. So the big banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, none of the ones we use consistently, jump their rates, really push it up by a point to a point and a half to basically stop people from wanting to refinance. if you have more business that you can handle at 10%, why would you do it lower at 8%? That kind of thing, what I just mentioned. A similar supply versus demand dynamic is also currently present in the secondary market. So once they do the loan, they wrap it and then they sell it to the secondary market. So they got to be able to give you the loan and then sell it. Long story short, rates are fantastic. I believe rates are going to get a little bit better. His point was, you know what? I saw it advertised 0%. You're not going to get a 0% loan when you go out to buy. As a seller, what's great is we will see a continued adjustment downward that's going to help you. There's no way with what's going on that they can raise the interest rates. So interest rates and consumer confidence and interest rates and sales prices, well, interest rate and sales price are an inverse relationship. The lower the interest rate, the higher the sales price that they can afford, which is great for you as a seller. Now, when you met with us, we said that there's only 4 reasons a home won't sell in today's market. Price and condition. You control the first 2, right? If you've remodeled all your house, then maybe you are worth another 25 or 45,000 than your neighbor. Marketing negotiation is why you choose the Nellis Group. That's why you're on this webinar. Unfortunately, right now, there's a 5th one. The 5th one is consumer confidence. That's something we can't control. That's something that in these growing months of isolation, we don't know where it's going to go, whether they're a contractor or whatever it is. I will say this, for all of our under contract homes, we're doing our diligence to remove all the abilities for the buyer to walk away because of that concern of, we've had, not here locally, but I know around the country, multiple high-end luxury listing agents have told me, you know what, James, people are walking away from $50,000 earnest money deposits because they're not sure what's going to happen, and they don't want to cash out that 300,000 from their stocks because the stocks have been beat up so bad. So it will have an impact, and that's why we have it as number 5 as far as consumer confidence goes. I did this search right before our meeting. All I did was type in coronavirus. There are, what is that, 1 billion results from London, from the UK, New York, New Jersey. They're closing all their bars. All these things are happening right now. It's going to impact us at some point. The positive is it has not impacted our sellers yet. We want to just remind you that we're fully available for you. This is our team. We've even grown from this. But we sent, just as an owner, I want you to know, I sent everybody home starting last Thursday. Everyone's remote. I don't want them in the office. Now, I will tell you this. We have hardworking people. They worked over the weekends. I found one of my staff here in the office today. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Get out of here. You're not allowed to work from here." She's like, "I know, James, but I'm so more efficient when I'm in the office. I don't care. Like, I don't want you in here because I don't want her getting sick or anything like that." The wonderful thing about real estate in today's world, that it wasn't like it in the 80s when my mother first started the company, was everything's online. We can really do it online. You saw how we can do those FaceTime tours and everything else. So that was me kind of full state of the market. What does it look like? What are the solutions that we have online? What are we seeing hyper local? And I wanted to basically offer it up for questions that you have. And I'm going to actually take the recording off